Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Rail Survival, a Space Engineers series where we are very nearly, well, we've been surviving, but we also very nearly have rail. And I guess even that's a misnomer because we've had the rail for quite some time, and it's very dark out there right now, but I can tell you with great certainty that now all of the rail everywhere is welded. Except for this little guy, because it doesn't actually belong there. So yeah, the track is all finished, finalized. All of the stations are hooked up and functional. I built some more. Everything has wind towers on it, even though of course everything was connected to power already. And we have our little locomotive. Or not, it's kind of a single unit freight carrying thing. I don't know. I'm going to offend a lot of actual rail fans with this. But we have our track vehicle. We have our track. We have the basics of a system set up, at least the systems involved in the rail car to make all that kind of function. And now we need a pit. So yeah, as you'll notice, the floor here is still mostly dirt. I need to drill out pretty much all of this to be able to put the welding rig in so that I can weld up new rail cars. And I think the easiest way to do that is going to involve me realizing I really did not set this up conveniently for this. So, alright, I have fancy drills too. That's a grinder. So I can use the old drill. Let's use the new drill. Mechanically, there's no difference, but they look fun. Actually, I should probably do that differently. So I'm obviously not worried too much about piping these things at the moment. And actually, I do maybe to there. Yeah, this may work. So I'm just going to use right-click drilling on these. And the right-click drilling, it's going to be a little tricky. I have to do some, well, I have to be in it in a cockpit to make it work. But it will allow me to clear more area and not fill these drills up because none of this is designed to be piped. So I'll have a chair there and then weld as many of these guys as we can. Well, which is hopefully all of them. And I probably could have gotten away with fewer, but we have a ton of materials. It should be fairly easy, and frankly, it's just quicker to lay out a big line than I guarantee. Well, not guaranteed, but it's much less likely that I miss some block that causes me trouble in the future, or some voxel. So, what I'm gonna do now is bring this piston down to where it's kind of just at ground level. Perfect. Then I should name this one because I can then control it from here. So I'll just be able to reverse it. And then those should just be these guys. Oh. Right, I'm going to struggle to see in third person. In fact, knowing that I'll struggle to see in third person, let's do something a little weird here. So I don't need to point forward. And now I can look down and actually see what the drills are doing while I go. Now, I don't know, there is a potential way to set the drills in right-click drill. Actually, hold on. I'm now remembering they may have given us just the ability. Yep. Hey, look, I'm doing stuff that I don't need to do. I forgot they gave us this in one of the more recent updates to where this is right-click drill, the terrain clearing mode. Means that it won't collect material, it just gets rid of it. Means I don't need any of this. Well, that chair being this in that context. Alright. Drills on. They are not collecting stone. And because terrain clearing mode does a wider area, they're doing a much wider area. So now... Ow. Now I can, from up here, control their push forward. Let them go out and do their thing. And then... I think I still will need to go lower. Because if we check here... Yeah. So that's where I want my welder. But welders don't like being... If any of the block is in voxel, they're unhappy. Also, hold on. That was about to be a problem. Oh, crap. That's also potentially a problem. Sensors should be off. I think all the timer blocks are off. Okay. We were safe. It just was scary. This thing, yeah. Also, I think our max distance is... Yeah, gonna be wrong. That's fine. That's a good pit. Let's do that. Drop these down a little. And we bring that back. That should get us deep enough. Hopefully the piston, it should be attached to that wall. Yeah, then we should be able to put our welders in there. Finish out the rest of the floor. And have our nice little vehicle printing bay ready to rock. I'm gonna say that looks well clear. I don't think we poked out into the outside at all, which is nice. So we can just grind these fellas apart now. Stick our welders in. Now, I think 3 welders across actually will get the whole car. And then 4 deep should be... Well, so it's within 4 blocks there on the rails. So 4 blocks should be enough. In fact... Oh, right. Well, I need this on to change the blueprint. Got our ore rail car. Yep, with our thingy. Our little sprue. So that goes there. I think that's right. There we go. Ah. Right, so positioning-wise, I actually probably do need the row here, and I don't actually need the row attached to the piston. Hopefully, it was close to enough room, so hopefully this gets us there. So that should be enough radius. Let's run this pipe along. Once I get all these pipes welded, I should be able to weld up one of these guys and they'll build each other, which is always a fun little trick. Get rid of you. Replace it with a thing just to have one there. Let's turn off this guy. I want it to keep projection. Yeah. Turn you off. So... yeah, so it should be all of these incomplete ones. Those are the two welders on the track welding train. And nothing else here is actually a welder. Alright. And I think... I can't remember how help others works, but I think it's important to have the... no. No, it doesn't matter to have them weld each other, but I'll have them help each other anyway, because why not? On they go. That one welds its neighbor. Oh, it may only work side to side. Alright, well, it saves us a bit of time. Magical. So now we'll turn those off so that they don't cook me as I lay out the floor. And then this room will be done. And this will save a little bit of time here. Magical. Now these grates should still allow everything to print and place correctly, hopefully. Can also drop that down to its sort of lowest level. Alright. That looks pretty good. So I think now it's on to the next sort of thing. Maybe I'll nap first. Be able to better judge plans in the daytime. Well, would you look at that? So I was flying up partially to, you know, look at everything, because it is pretty cool. But it looks like I did... oh no. It looks like I did get hit.
Fuel critical.
Which is a bit of a pain. Let's see... I need to get materials. Hopefully I can just replace the blocks and they'll sort of link back into things. I meant to do this at the sort of intro. Welding went mostly fine for everywhere. I did run into a slight issue right in here that I can show here real quick. Right, this should be the last little bit of track I need to do. Want to stop it kind of just short of the door here, and that doesn't look right. Oh. Huh. Well, that's not good. Can I... Does make it easy to get in and out of the cockpit. Can I get myself unstuck? Oh, it's just inching forward. Okay. I have just enough wheel strength to drag myself. I'm amazed it's doing anything. I guess it's the little bit of wiggle in the hinges that allows some of the wheels to touch the ground or touch the rail. Oh. Okay, and I think we're off. Once that truck levels, that should be okay. Ho. Is this okay? I didn't do any damage. So that's good to know. I guess I'll be doing the last little bit by hand. Yeah, so there was one area. Luckily, this was the only area that had a height problem. Dang. Okay. That worked. Hopefully. Did anything anywhere else explode when those connected? I don't think so. Again, why I decided meteors were something fun to deal with, I'm not 100% sure. Because really the only thing they've done is mean that every so often everything could get destroyed. I guess the possibility that the track is out and I need to catch that before I send a train careening off of it, that's kind of exciting. So anyway, what I came to do, and actually, you know what? We've not ridden the funicular in a long while. Let's ride it. We can look out. So, the next thing I need, the sort of last building, really, that I intend to do, is a control tower from which I can control the whole network. My goal is to have a big board that shows some of the position of all my switches and whatnot, so that I can just kind of set the path and then release trains along it to come back here. And I did a bit of thinking about this earlier. Up here where the solar tower is wouldn't be a horrible spot, but once we get up here, I'll kind of show you it's not the best. I think my better option is going to be building off of that sort of pipeline that runs over to the car shed. Building off of it and then having a tower kind of right in that empty gap. That should be close enough that I can get a good view of what's actually going on with the rail yard, which is kind of where that's the thing that's important. And it kind of And I think it'll fill out this area nicely. The other idea that I just had just now, and I kind of like... So if I had a sort of bridge over the rail yard there... Ooh. So, now that we're up here, we can kind of get a good bird's eye view. Which is pretty rad to just see, see tracks shooting off across the countryside. See my little towers. Yeah. This is a cool world. I'm pleased with everything that's happened here, even if it's been a little tedious at times. But now from there, I think it'll be easier. So the thought I just had originally, up there, you kind of saw the view. If I had a tower here, I have a little bit more of an angle so I can actually see what's going on. But from here, looking out along the tracks, I'd have an even better angle. And I already need some stuff going on here for the unloading. My current plan is to have basically a second connector that'll work as an ejector off the back of these guys. So when a train car comes in, docks up, all of its goodies get dumped out as sort of physical objects into a collector. And the reason I'm doing that is because each of these lines is ever so slightly offset, which means connecting them all together is nigh on impossible. Well, it's actually not. It's not any more impossible than everything else here, but it's a hassle. It would involve a bunch more awkward subgrids, and I think it's going to be better served if I just kind of, dump stuff out. Plus, it makes it more exciting looking because there's ore just dumping out of carts into the ground. But yeah, now that I think about it, I think here is the better spot for my tower. Conveniently, this bar is attached to the main grid, so I should be able to build off of this without much issue. In fact, I've got these fancy conduits. Let's get some parts for them. I can use these to connect the grids in a way that sort of looks like, it's an intentional... It looks like power being transferred, as opposed to a big blocky thing. Okay. That looks weird now, but it'll look less weird when I have structure there. Okay. That feels like a good start. Gonna have to do a lot of welding, but let's... That'll be our front door. And I can practically walk right up it. So yeah, now I may, just for the sake of time, not bother welding up the lower bit. I will weld up this upper bit just so I have room to place stuff. Then I should probably go about actually getting all of the switches and everything set up around the network, so then I can control everything. Okay. So I've gotten the upper platform welded. The lower platform, well, tower, not so much. I have also loaded up the old truck with a bunch of hinges and event controllers. So I think we're ready to go out and put our switches in. So I could... I could put switches in here for all of these bits. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be... Well, I don't think it would be that useful. Or easy, or smart. So, the way these switches work is it creates a spot where the trains will stack up. For these switches in here, the little sort of waiting area before you would choose which way to go is tiny. Now, I could put them sort of at the back end. So like one here. Yeah, one there. Could have one over here to control for the trains when they want to leave. Which might work. But I can also, when I want the train to leave, I can just kind of, you know, have things set before I send it out. Because I control when it actually departs. So I think I'm not going to worry about a switch on there. I should do switches here, or at least a switch here. That's probably not a bad idea too, because I'm close enough to home. If I need more stuff, I can get it. Now I don't need any stop switches back here where the thingy is. Obviously, you know, if I send a train car down this other track, it'll see the welding train and stop before it crashes. But it's not going to go off the track. And the whole point of the switches is to keep the automated trains from going off the track. I also probably don't need one on this track because my intent is for this is basically just storage for this guy. So I don't really... I'm never going to run anything automated on it. Here, though, we do. So we'll put our guy up here. Add, I guess I could do small heads. It doesn't strictly matter. And it will be cheaper. Alright. So that's 4 blocks out, and then 12 blocks down. That should put it in sort of detection range. We'll just paint the end in such a way that it is clearly a hazard thing. I guess I could put a light on it too. Do I want to get that? Nah, we'll just go with I forget what. This is a type of signal where it's just an arm that moves, but we'll just stick with it as this. So the other thing I need on these, and I need the parts for one, is an event controller, which annoyingly doesn't give me the ability to control it. So we have to name things, and we should name these based off of the names I've already given to the switches. So hinge, nickel branch, signal. And event controller, nickel branch, signal. So now I can actually remote into the main base. Type in nickel and find, that's our hinge, that's our vent controller. So what the event controller is going to do is watch the angles of things, specifically the hinge nickel branch switch. So currently it's at -7. So -7 is the signal needs to be down, which is what I want to have happen when the thing is triggered, just so I remember. So if it is equal or less than 0, or honestly equal or less than 6, because it goes to +7, I want signal to rotate to angle -90. When that is done, I want to rotate to angle 0. So currently the event controller should be triggered because that is less than 6. So the signal is down, telling any trains coming along that, hey, you probably don't want to drive here. If I reverse this switch, the signal goes up. Aha. Reverse it again, signal comes down. Perfect. So part of why I'm doing it this way is it means I only have to control the switch direction. I'm only controlling this hinge back here, which makes things a lot easier, a lot more reliable. This being automated, it's just gonna work and happen. At least that's the hope. So okay. With that as our sort of template, where's the truck? There it is. That is our sort of template. We can get rid of these guys, the test ones. Though, I may leave this guy. Because, of course, this is a line that I want to be able to stop at. Ooh.
Fuel low.
I didn't think about... So this guy's very close. Which means when things are going out, I kind of do want a switch here. Okay, this is going to be tricky. Because not only... I don't really have a lot of room here. I don't like the idea of stopping a train on
storm inbound.
That actual switch. But I think it's how it's going to happen. The issue, I don't really have enough room between all these tracks to do the hinge arm swinging. This also gets weird because, of course, there's the switch over there goes to multiple places where I need multiple hinges for. So we'll call this one the shed signal. It's got an event controller associated now. So for this guy, watch angle. And what is... Okay. Three-way switch. Hinge. Hinge, three-way switch. Add that. And which way? Okay, towards the shed is positive, because the little dashy thing is on this side. So, I think if it's greater than... I don't actually have to keep coming back here to do this, because I'm just remoting in. Okay. So if the angle is greater than 6? Can't remember what that hinge goes to. Greater than 6, I want our shed signal. Yeah, to go to 0. I'm doing this backwards from the other one, but so long as I get the bits right, that shouldn't matter. And does this go... That may need to have been negative. Yep, that needed to be negative 90. So now, I think it's this. I should really change the names on these buttons. But yep, switch went up when that went there. When I go in the middle, comes down. So that is 1. Now, how to fit one in here. I could put it up on this. And my concern is that the arm is going to have to be too long to reach. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Too long. I could on here. In theory, there should never be a train right here when the thing comes down. So maybe what I do is place our thing here. And the switch just kind of shoots straight, you know, straight out back. And you know what? This middle guy is going to need 2 event controllers. Because it needs to be controlled when the switch goes either that way or that way. Alright, so I've got my 2 signals that control the main line. This one, if things are greater than 1 degree. This one, things are less than -1. And they both do the same thing of dropping the signal down to 90. So let's do some switching and see what happens. So that goes over, switches down.
Fuel low.
Oh, dang it.
Fuel
Back to the
critical.
middle. Switch goes up. Over to the other side. Comes down. Other one goes up. Back to the middle. Magical. Alright. So we've got a switch at each thing. Just again, verify. So when that comes over there, That one goes up. Comes to the middle. Middle one goes up. Out to the left. Left one goes up. That is looking good. We might as well leave it like this because this is how it's going to eventually be when I deploy cars. Okay, so now we just work our way along the line. Yep. Okay, I forgot to name this hinge, so... we'll call it the magnesium line switch, because this, I believe, is the one... right? Yeah. This is the one that sends stuff off around the big curve. I can't remember. I think I showed this. I think this existed last episode. Maybe it didn't. This is here. My little observation outlook to watch things go around the big curve. But anyway, we now know what that curve is called, or what that switch is called. So we can set up our things. I did just realize an issue. So I already have a gold line. That's the silicon I just named. But what do I name this guy? Because if I name it gold, I already have one. That could get confusing. Okay. We'll call it silicon signal gold. And I guess this will be the procedure for these going forward. Is we'll have, so when we branch off the main line, it's the whatever the signal is for the ore it's going to, but the switch for the main sort of side will say what the main side is. I don't know, it's probably going to change each thing, but again, so long as I remember it for the short moment I need it to set stuff up, we should be all right. Also, this info is very convenient because it tells me what my switch is set to angle-wise. So I know -7 goes to the silicon switch, which means for my main silicon signal, nope, for the event controller for my main silicon signal, equal or less than -6. I know is correct for this to be triggered. Alright. I believe there's only magnesium or cobalt left on this line. So I go way out there and do it, and then I can do the rest, and then I start working on my actual controls for all of this. So it's hard to show all at once, but I have, I believe, all of the switches built. They all exist. So let's get some bits. So my plan is to have these sort of windows wrap all around this thing. And I don't need to do these. Basically, my idea, I need the roof, so I need something to connect the roof to. So I'll build these up, and actually, yeah. I want it to be higher. Two blocks. I think 2 blocks should be good. And I can actually do some tricks if I need a little bit of extra room. So... Actually, I am gonna do a little trickiness in here. Do I think that... We'll mock this out, and if I don't like it, I just change it. All it costs me is time. Valuable, precious time. But the gist of what I'm doing here, I want a small grid conversion. So I'm going to have a big board up here that has a bunch of lights and stuff that shows me all of my switches and has buttons for me to control them. This is what in old school, well, I guess it's still called a switching board. It could be called a switching board. I've seen in a control tower of an old rail station a big old board with a bunch of lights on it. So that's just kind of what I'm duplicating here. Which is, I'm realizing, because of the scale of small grid, is going to suck. I don't think there are any fancy big blocks in small grid. Let's at least build this guy so we can angulate. Yeah, that'll be big. Hopefully it's big enough. But, yeah, this should work position-wise, because I can always, if I want to look at the whole thing at once, I can move back here to this side of the stairs. But I can come up here and there's plenty of room to kind of look at things and press buttons. Ow. If I were smart, I would have piped up to the top of this thing. Providing myself with cargo. Oh boy, is this a thrill. Also, what? I don't know why I jittered. Guess I'm just so overwhelmed with the excitement of all this welding. Alright. We've got a big old board. So now... I need to start marking out the line. And so this won't be a, scaled map. It's going to be a lot more closely related to like a metro station map that you would see where, I show interchanges, in this case my switches, but, and I guess I should show stations as well on here, the different mining spots, but I'm not going to have like accurate distances between them. So conveniently, everything kind of operates in a big old line. So if I show nickel starting... Okay. I may end up having to redo and expand this. I don't know if I have enough room. But, well, actually, we can maybe figure this out. So, a station can just be a single light. That should be easy. And I may color code them based on the ore. A switch... Yeah, this is gonna get tricky. So, okay. The minimum I can do for a switch, I think, would be 2 lights. And then I'd need a button below it. Let's do, I think... Yeah, neon tubes will be the best track indicator. So, if I call this the nickel up to this switch here. These two lights represent the two directions that that switch could be. Those are then the two tracks. That track just ends. And I may just leave it without a light because I don't really care about it.
Energy low.
Okay, this could work. So then we have the three-way switch. From there, do I indicate the yard? Maybe I have a separate panel somewhere that shows the yard, because I think that'll make life easier. So, okay, those guys are the yard. If I then do track, we get to... That is the first switch, which I believe was magnesium. Whoa. I'm gonna use the power of this guy to make our lives a little easier. Yep. So, three-way switch. Then we have a two-way, which spurts off towards magnesium. So that's a line that I'll loop back that way. Then this way goes towards nickel, or not nickel, silicon, which is there. Then we have cobalt here. Cobalt. And then gold. Oh. I wish I'd centered it better, but that may just work. Now, okay. I believe, yes. I can have this flip around. That represents the big curve. And then there is silver, which happens up here. That'll be the extra iron. And that's magnesium. So iron, magnesium. And I do kind of want to shift everything over to the left one. Well, do I have enough room to do the yard if I do this? So the yard would have 4 spots. Those guys. I think it gets a little too tight to do that. Right, so we have that there. If I condense these guys down. Okay. So if I condense the yard down as tight as it can go. That represents it. Oh, but I've forgotten buttons. I need a button for each switch. So I can have a button there, 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 there. I need 2 buttons for this guy. Which gets a little awkward looking. No, I can... Okay. Okay, God, this looks like a mess, and it is a mess. But I think it works. What I'm actually gonna do... stick a second button lower. Or... no, I do need 3 buttons for this guy. So can I... aha, I can fit one of these almost in. I mean, that lines up, but it's ugly. I'll just have 3 buttons linked together there. Oh. Looking at that from a distance, it's bright. Once I get everything painted, I think it'll be a little easier on the eyes. And in case you've not seen it, this is a very handy trick with the neon tubes. So, with bright colors, the neon tubes will look neon. They will glow. But you can use a dark color, like this is the... I think this is the dark gray or a black. I think it's so long as it has 0 saturation. Instead of glowing, the pipes will just become dull. So you can use them like these almost look like they could be railings, like dull metal. Which is really handy for details on small grid things. Now this is going to be the agonizing part, is I've got to name each of these lights something logical, so they get controlled with things. And set up their colors and all that. So I think this will take a minute. Now, something I'm going to do here is stick a bunch of event controllers in. I could use the event controllers that control the switches to manage these lights. But I think I'm gonna have separate event controllers for redundancy's sake, which should mean basically these buttons are going to control the actual switch hinges. These lights will be set up similar to the existing switches to tell me, okay, which angle is it at, which indicates which track it's going to. It's basically the same setup, but I want to duplicate it so that, you know, say a switch explodes, or say this thing, dang it, say this thing explodes, I don't lose some of that functionality. Might be completely useless, but, you know, it's what I'm doing. I've instantly run into an issue of nickel is black, and I don't know how to make it a color that makes sense. That also I can see. So I think nickel's gonna stay white. And that should... yeah. It's not great.
Energy low.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be better when there are less lights here, but it's hard to tell what light is what. Okay. Things are going to get a little weird color-wise. So purple is now nickel. Or sort of a lavendery, whatever that would be. Red is iron, that makes sense. That color blue is magnesium, because it's a little bit lighter. That's silver, because that is. Silicon is white. So silicon is just going to be silicon. It's just going to be white. I did change the name, yeah. Cobalt is going to be, well, dark blue. I like that. And then gold can be yellow. So yeah, now I need to think up what colors each of these guys can be, which is going to be a trick. So if that's bright yellow, let's see how orange handles being a color on and off. I'm also going to have to think up, I guess I'll just type out where it goes. It's from nickel and it goes to the siding, this light. It sort of works. So the other option, my plan is to have these lights turn on and off based on if something is docked there. So when a car is at the nickel, for example, this will be lit up. When it leaves the nickel, this goes out, and eventually when it connects into the yard, one of these lights up. Which is going to require more event controllers. I'll fit those in the back later. But for the switches, I could do... We also have the option to change their color. So I could just have... Maybe if I change this to orange... Yes. That's orange. It might be a little easier to see some of this too once there's a roof on in here. So if that's orange and toggles on and off. Oh. Okay, I've got all kinds of problems. We'll keep explaining for a bit. So that's that. If I change these to a different color, that's not green, then I could have the switches change from green to red based on which one's active, and that will be very visible. Because that's the main important thing from this system, is I need to see which way each switch is set so that I know what I'm doing, know what I'm, where I'm sending cars and where they'll actually go. So I think I may have had a slight change of heart here, or a change of thought. I can paint the actual housing of each thing. So if I do that, maybe that's a better way to differentiate. Because then I can have, like, nickel can be black. Silver can be silver. Silicon can be... yeah, we'll go white. Yeah, I think that works. Painting this to match the sands. So that's everything painted. I don't know why I keep hearing a thunking. Are my batteries all dead? Nope. Plenty of power. May just be that this thing's freaking out a bit, or something else in the vast array of weirdness I have here is freaking out. Oh, okay, well. It's now dark up here, not that you can really tell looking at the board. Alright. So now... let's go ahead. Copy all the settings from that. Paste it onto everything, and then at least the brightness is all good. This is a time I wish I remembered what the keyboard shortcut for this maneuver was. So I renamed the actual nickel, so I can go through here. And replace all of these guys' names with switchboard switch light. And let's go ahead and, for the moment, so if they are all yellow, it's obviously easier to see at night. See, I can set the intensity real low, and at night at least, it's easy to tell. I'm going to go with yellow lights for all the stops and hope that that just kind of does it. So now I get to go through and rename all of these. So I think I'm kind of naming each switch based on what's below it. So for these guys, I've just got switch light mag and switch light iron. Here I've got switch light silver. And this guy will be mag iron. I think for this guy I can do gold line, mag line, because that's kind of how I've differentiated them. Here we do silicon, and we'll do cobalt gold there. This one's gold. That one's cobalt. Okay. Everything should be named. I should be able to set things up. Though I need to name these guys. Okay. I have a mess of things that all need to be linked together. They should all be named, so that's good. I guess I'll just start working down the list. So, first I have my switchboard event controller that does switch 1 versus switch 2, 3, and 4. I need to verify. Let's get more fuel, get more power, and then I need to verify what those switches are named. So this is the switch that does 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's yard 1. Is the next one yard 2? Sure is. I'm willing to bet. Yep, yard 3. I'm going to take a gamble that the last one is in fact yard 4. Which means I should be able to, well, I can go from there. So, how at least the yard controllers work, I have track 1, and then the other branch goes to 2, 3, and 4. Next one will either go to 2 or the branch for 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. So, for 1, angle changed, add yard 1. I don't know which way is which. Which is gonna be, can I? Nope, I can't go. I can't leave my body while in a thingy. Can I though? Nope. Oh boy. There we go. I've reined in control of this thing. I think. Yeah, so I can check these. This is a little cheesy to be using the third-person camera for this, but otherwise it's just going to be me flying back and forth, and that's kind of the same pointlessness. So it's at -7 currently, and that goes to 2, 3, and 4. So I want it to be equal or greater than 6 because this event controller is telling me when it goes to track 1. So when it goes to track 1, I need to find my switchboard switch light, which, okay, it doesn't get that differentiated. Okay. I believe I need switchboard switch light unloading 1 to set its color to green. Sure, or lime. And then 2, 3, 4 set its color to red. Now, when it's no longer the case... Oh, nope. This is going to get convoluted. So I need the red to happen here on bar 2. This should set this to green when the switch is no longer above 6. And this will set 1 to red. Okay. So now, if I set this to be yard 1 reverse, these lights should change. Unless, of course, I don't have a velocity on... is it this guy? Where am I? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this guy. Okay. So it's now pointing towards yard 1. Which isn't green. I mean, these things are still connected, yeah? They should be, because it's all got power. Okay, let's press that and see if this is now pointing back. Yes. So it's now pointing back. Why is the event controller not doing? Ah! Because this is a different type of switch. It doesn't go from -7 to that. It goes to 0. So that should be -1. Ta-da! So now... Yeah. Look at that. Okay. Now I do that like 10 more times. I just set up the 3-way switch, and I realized I only need 2 event controllers because if it's not, you know, set to the yard angle or set to the other angle, it should be at the middle. So I have these set up. So this goes to the shed, which is this guy. This middle one goes to the middle. This goes to the yard. So I can also, let's just, there we go. Just verify. So it is going to the yard currently, which is what it shows. If I hit middle, should be in the middle. It is. And if I hit shed, nope. Well, let's just check. So it's gone back up to there. If I hit shed, it should go all the way through the middle and end up at the shed. So it's now middle. Now to shed. And that's where it is. This is fun. And look, the switches are all switching at the same time. So those two are down. That one is up. This is grand fun. Alright, this one I should be able to... Yeah, I can just look, because that's the nickel branch there. So it's currently going to the siding, which is what's indicated. Do that, it should take up to there. Let's see if I actually do anything with this. I probably should, now that it's in here. But I can run a pipe down to the floor. I could pipe this up. In fact, hold on. I suppose, yeah. That works. So I have a refill station and cargo. Can cover that up, and it's kind of, you know, it's not like I'm looking out the front window from here anyway. Looking at the board. I can still walk around, there's plenty of room. I can have some buttons for things, I'll be good. And of course I chose the stairs the wrong way. So I can do a pipe from here that runs across to here pretty well. I will admit I've gotten fully distracted from the setting up of the switchboard, but frankly, it's a little bit slow and agonizing. I think I need a little mental break. Redo some stairwells. I don't know why this particular switch wiggles a lot more than it should. Maybe it's because it moves too fast. Yeah, all those guys have shear inertia tensor. I'm just gonna assume this is good. See if, yep, light switches. It's there, and it does eventually come to a stop. Though weirdly, that position... This whole thing's a little weird. I wonder... So this one, the block under the hinge is a block. Over here, the block under the hinge is part of the main track. I wonder if that matters. Got a little bit of juice. Let's go over there and poke it and see if the behavior improves. My guess, because obviously I built a lot of these, is I just kind of did that. You know? I wonder if... Actually, I bet you... Well... Nah, it may change the angle a bit. But yeah, that angle looks better. I think that the positioning caused that to rub in a weird way. So if I reverse that... Yeah, now it doesn't do any bouncing or weird jiggle. The position is better. Funky. Also, another benefit of just controlling everything by reversing the hinges and watching them. I can reverse the hinge at the hinge if I want to. And all this updates, nothing gets like mixed up or confused. Makes it much less screw-upable, I suppose. Don't love those thunks. Those thunks unnerve me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of subgrids. So the odd thunk shouldn't be a concern. But the fact that a thunk means something just moved. And if things move... Oh. Oh boy. Ah. They're coming up the stairs. Oh no. I just watched them all enter the shed. Or not the shed, but the tower. Where's... Okay, there's a gun. Ah. Whew. That was exciting. Got a little bit... I did cook some of their meat and turn it into frontier stew. Which I guess will be the next thing I eat. It does so much meal that you kind of have to get starving to make it worth it. Alright. Should probably put a door on here at some point. Did I finish? I think I finished this. Alright. So extra iron is currently aiming towards the mag. It also has that issue. It does switch. Should be towards iron now. Let's go fix it. Even though it doesn't look so bad, but... if there's a chance that it messes things up, I'd rather not mess things up. Okay. I do believe everything is now working. Got a bunch of glowy lights. You can tell when those come on. I may... because these will switch colors.
Meteor storm inbound.
Oh, yeah. Watch, make sure it doesn't... Again, now that I've seen it, I'm pretty sure that was on camera. That I've seen it collide with rail and damage it. Okay, they're way over... Ah! There's no glass there yet. They're way over there. Please don't hit my track. Oh. I think we're good. I hope we're good. Anyway. I should be able to select all my switchboard switch lights. Oh no, so their intensity is all the way down. Radius is down. So that's just as bright as they are. We can check back when the sun is kind of behind them to see, but same with these yellow guys. I think under most circumstances they're going to be visible enough to be useful. Interestingly, my lines do ever so slightly glow, because I guess they aren't perfectly black. But that's kind of fun in its own way. It really highlights, especially when it's dark like this, really highlights, okay, here's what's going on. I'm pretty happy with this. Alright, and with all of that sort of up and working, I think we're going to call it here. So yeah, I don't actually know how long this episode's going to be. There was a lot of fiddling, but a lot of that's going to get cut out, so we'll find out. I think next time we're going to go ahead and, well, get some train cars out, get them on the move, make sure everything's working there, and, you know, get a... hopefully, by the end of next episode, we'll be getting our first rail shipments of goods. But that's all for the future. For now, thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out the other stuff I've done, and until next week, bye-bye.